Parkland chronicles the chaotic events surrounding the assassination of John F. Kennedy, told through the eyes of a small group of ordinary people suddenly thrust into extraordinary circumstances.
Hello, I'm Paul Giamatti. You're watching Made in Hollywood, and here's a scene from Parkland.
Fort Worth, temperature 56 degrees. Dallas, 55.
Nice day for a motorcade.
President and Mrs. Kennedy arrived in Fort Worth from Houston late.
Anything you hit on the president's visit you don't like, you tell the Secret Service. Their show.
The president scheduled 2 speeches.
We're gonna be okay here?
Oh yeah, it's a good program.
It will now only be a matter of minutes until the arrival.
Early lunch today. I want everybody downstairs to see the president.
How did this come to you? How did this role land on your desk?
Just the standard procedure. You know?
Really?
I mean, they came to me with the script, and they were interested in me, and did play the part, and so I read it, and I thought it was great.
I wrote a movie for Tom Hanks about Watergate, Deep Throat, that I hope we do. And after that, he put Vince Bugliosi's book in my hands, which served as a launching off point, kind of a place to begin. It was an amazing masterpiece of a document of fact and data.
And I read the script, and there was a lot of roles. Obviously, there was a lot of roles, and it was see what you respond to. And what I responded to was Robert Oswald. And part of what I responded to was that Jackie was playing Marguerite.
Well, I'm interested in history and stuff like that, you know, and interested in this particular piece of history. So that was already intriguing to me. And then I thought it was kind of interesting to play this guy who is sort of an anonymous figure now. Nobody knows anything about him. I didn't know anything about him. And so and then when I saw him, when I heard him, I thought, wow, what an interesting guy. I didn't think that's what he was going to be like. It's just intriguing.
Now they've turned on to Elm Street.
There he is!
Let's just go back to the beginning. This is your directing debut.
Yeah.
How does it feel at this moment as we sit here right now?
You know, I'm really proud of the movie. It's the 3rd time in the last week I've seen it with a big audience. And you don't know what you've done until you see it with an audience.
So we know the audience knows. Okay.
Like any art form, you don't really know what you've done until you present it to the world and get their emotional feedback. I feel good, I feel proud of the movie.
No one knew anything about him, or in general, but we've all seen that footage that he
that's him.
captured.
As far as anybody's concerned, that is him, that film now, you know, and that became him, a stand-in for him in everybody's minds. But he was he was a self-made man, an immigrant from the Ukraine and stuff like that. He was a fascinating guy.
We do not know officially.
His head just flew to pieces.
Doctor?
Who's the attendant?
Right now, it is just you.
Do something!
It is the president.
I know who it is. I need pressure right here!
It's shot in a different kind of way. Explain your kind of concept to me.
You know, I wanted specifically to take the audience and give them the experience of going through the Kennedy assassination weekend themselves. In order to do that, I wanted the camera to almost have human focus and psychological focus.
This was the furthest I'd ever gone in terms of there being no blocking and no marks and they would generally light the room so you could go anywhere. And these guys were just following you with the camera. So I think he wanted a sense of almost like a kind of documentary sort of feeling to it, and chaos too, and people, you know, they not being clear what's going on and stuff like that.
He is not dying in there or living. Take him across the hall.
There wasn't a lot of rehearsal, there was no blocking, things weren't set.
I really wanted, and my cinematographer and I wanted to create a kind of timelessness to it.
As it actually gives you complete freedom, it lets you just inhabit the thing, and he would just do it over and over and over again. And yeah, there was no cuts, there were no, you know, so you just started feeling very much like the scene. It was like a play almost, and there happened to be cameras catching it.
We had the assassin of the president in our office 10 days ago. We had him! And we could have stopped him!
The stories are something that you don't really think about until I saw this film, because we all know about the Kennedy assassination, but the days that followed really, I mean, it really lends itself to great storytelling.
We're so distracted by the conspiracy conversation, the murder mystery. I think of it almost as a game of Clue. You know, it's Mr. Mustard with the candlestick in the dining room. We're so distracted by that, we forget what's real and powerful and important about what really happened.
I found it fascinating the way the funeral happened, getting the coffin on the plane, what they did in the ER. I mean, we're a bit more used nowadays to seeing that ER stuff on television, but it just wasn't done back in the 60s. So I think it's all fascinating from a a different angle.
A very undignified end for a very dignified man.
I've done historical things, but this was definitely weird in that I was standing literally where the guy stood. I had the same kind of camera. I was supposed to be saying the same things. I mean, people heard him. He remembered the things he said that day. So it was strange. I think it was strange because there were tourists standing around too, who'd come to Dealey Plaza, and then they see some guy dressed as Abraham Zapruder running around screaming, and it was surreal. It was very weird.
That conversation is not going to end. It will go on in a circular fashion forever. You know, I wanted to tell a story that we just hadn't seen, but which we can rely on as knowing was true and would give us the experience of having watched it.
Jesus Christ, this was not supposed to happen.
Made in Hollywood.